30 seconds. Five, four, three.
It is 6:30 p.m. and I call this meeting to order. Please stand and we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Winona City Council. Tonight, I'm going to keep it brief. We've just a couple of housekeeping pieces. Item 5.8 will be pulled from the agenda this evening. And then also Councilmember Haima is remote tonight, but in regards to that, we'll be doing roll call votes for each vote. So that's all I have for this evening. City Manager Chad Uble.
Mayor and Council, nothing tonight.
Very good. I will now ask the city clerk to take roll call.
Mayor Scott Sherman.
Here.
Councilman Young.
Here.
Haima.
There.
Christensen.
Here.
Iden. Here. Borzakowski.
Here.
Rapinski.
Here. For the remainder of this meeting, residents are only allowed to speak if they have a request before the council, and I have recognized you to speak.
Under the petitions, requests, and communications, item 3.1 is a temporary wine and malt liquor license for Cotter Schools.
Move to approve the license.
Second. We have a motion from George, a second from Steve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, hold on, sorry, we got to do a roll call vote.
Sherman.
Here, aye.
Councilman Young.
Aye.
Haima.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Iden.
Aye.
Borzakowski.
Aye.
Rapinski.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yes, sorry. Motion approved.
Item 3.2 is the extension of the Wesley United Methodist Church parking lot lease.
I move that the council adopt the resolution. Second.
We have a motion from Steve, a second from Pam. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will ask city clerk to take roll call.
Mayor Sherman.
Aye.
Councilman Young.
Aye.
Haima.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Iden.
Aye.
Borzakowski.
Aye.
Rapinski.
Aye. Motion passes.
Item 3.3 is a request for 30-minute parking to be added on 3rd Street.
Move that the council introduce the ordinance. Second.
We have a motion from Steve, a second from George. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will ask city clerk to take roll call.
Mayor Sherman.
Aye.
Councilman Young.
Aye.
Haima.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Iden.
Aye.
Borzakowski.
Aye.
Rapinski.
Aye. Motion passes.
Item 3.4, request for handicap parking on 2nd Street.
Move that the council introduce the ordinance.
Second that.
We have a motion from Steve, a second from Pam. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask city clerk to take roll call vote.
Mayor Sherman.
Aye.
Councilman Young.
Aye.
Haima.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Iden.
Aye.
Borzakowski.
Aye.
And Rapinski.
Aye. Motion passes.
Under new business, item 5.1 is the renewal of the property and liability insurance for 2023.
I move that the council adopt the resolution.
Second that.
We have a motion from Steve, a second from Pam. Any discussion?
Do we have someone from Winona Agency to walk us through some of this, or is this, are we asking you questions, or?
Mayor and Council, we do not have anybody from Winona Agency with us tonight, but you're welcome to ask questions.
I would ask a question. So I've reviewed this, and And I certainly feel very comfortable with what I'm seeing related to our coverage, of course, liability and property. And the one that concerns me, and it is the cyber coverage. The consequences of a problem, of a breach, are extremely high. And as a medium-sized to smaller city, we're a target. Other communities, other cities, and other entities about our size have been targeted. We read about this nationally, a lot of times by criminals outside the United States, and it really puts a hurt on the victim. Of course, having insurance doesn't mean that you wouldn't possibly become a victim. But I'm wanting to know two things. If I could receive a reflection on this, do we believe that we're doing right by the insurance, or that we're purchasing what we should be getting related to the cyber coverage? And secondly, what are we doing our best efforts to protect the city, its assets, and especially our digital assets? Thank you.
Mayor and Council, we are in the process of working with Winona Agency to get additional quotes for areas where the cybersecurity insurance at the league may not cover. So staff does plan to bring that back to council. And we do have an IT coordinator who is working towards implementing a lot of changes that help protect the city. And we have implemented all of the changes that are required, that we have received notification that are requirements of the additional cybersecurity insurance. So we do continue to monitor cyber risks, and we do plan to continue implementing changes as needed.
Jessica, I would definitely have confidence in the direction that you're going. I don't want my remarks to lead you to that conclusion at all, but I wanted to impress upon all of us the importance of this aspect of our risk. It's the one gigantic unknown to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll ask the city clerk to take roll call vote.
Mayor Sherman,
Aye.
Councilman Young,
Aye.
Haima,
Aye.
Christensen,
Aye.
Iden, Borzakowski,
Aye.
Rapinski.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item 5.2 is the Winona Senior Advocacy Grant and Business Associate Agreement.
Move that the council approve the agreements and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the contract with Winona County. Second.
We have a motion from Steve, a second from George. We do have Lori Paulson, Laura Holberg, and Marita Olmsted here from the Advocacy Center. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Lori Paulson. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Marita Olmsted. So we just wanted to give you a brief overview, since there are some new members of the council, what senior advocacy is and what we do. This just shows a structure of where we fall within the city. So we are a part of the Park Rec Department, and we are housed at the Friendship Center. And you can see Marita and myself, and then also part of the Friendship Center is the Chore Corps program. Oh, so this next slide shows our funding sources. So we are funded obviously by the city of Winona, SEMA, which is Southeast Minnesota Area Agency on Aging. So part of like the Minnesota Board on Aging, Winona County, and client donations.
So then a bit about who we serve. We generally serve the population that is 60 and older in not only the city of Winona, but also Winona County as a whole. We also serve individuals who are not quite 60, but maybe live with a disability. I mentioned we do serve City of Winona and Winona County. And then we take self-referrals. We take a lot of referrals from Winona County Human Services. And if family or friends want to refer loved ones to us, they certainly can do as well. All of our services are free. We do not deny anyone for inability to pay. We don't request any amount of payment for our services. So there's no charge to meet with us, and Friendship Center membership is not a requirement to get assistance from a senior advocate. So then we have just some numbers for you. In 2020, we had 4,843 service units. Service units are generally what we would call contacts out. So how many contacts that Lori and I both have made to clients within the community to render services. In 2020, we had 2,852 unit contacts in. So people who are contacting us, asking us for services, getting their referrals started. In 2021, it did dip down a little bit to 4,733 service units and then 2,774 contacts in. And then as you can see in 2022, it took a great leap to 6,077 service units and 3,934 contacts in. We stayed as active as we could during the COVID pandemic. We did not let the pandemic stop us from providing services because we knew that the population we serve is especially vulnerable to loneliness, to having their needs met. So we tried to make a great effort to continue to serve those needs.
So this slide shows what are some of the things we do with our clients when they come in to meet with us or when we do a home visit. We're in the property tax renter rebate season, which preceded by the energy assistance season. Section 8 housing, other housing applications, lifeline support, which is like reduced telephone and free cell phone, and then extra help, which is a Medicare Part D prescription drug program. We do a lot of Medicare counseling, especially during open enrollment. I just did a notary today. We do advanced directives. The Chore Corps is a great help out in the community for lawn services and snow shoveling and minor repairs such as hanging up curtain rods or pictures in their home. I head up the Winona Dementia Friendly Community, which includes a week full of activities, which will be April 17th through the 21st this year, where we have speakers and education for people that are living with dementia, that are care partners, and for just the general community. We also have a memory cafe that meets every week and a dementia-friendly choir called the Forget-Me-Notes. I'll let Marite talk about Pearls.
Sure. Another really neat program that we've been able to implement starting, I believe, in 2020 is Pearls, which is Program to Encourage Active Rewarding Lives. It's 8 one-on-one counseling sessions. So it's a really great program for people who may experience like major or minor depression, people who, you know, maybe through COVID, they've kind of isolated themselves and just need help figuring out how to get back into a routine of things. For people going through a multitude of different life-changing factors. It's essentially like 8 one-on-one client-driven programs where we focus on problem solving or goal setting between each session, and then activity planning. So something that's pleasant, something that's physical, and something that's social. And it's been really great to see clients that I've been serving just absolutely bloom into a totally different individual. We've had someone who has experienced great mental health trauma within their life. And after their first Pearl session, it just seems like they have a whole new lease on life. They're figuring out how to make all these community connections. And now they're just busy doing so much more than I could even imagine doing myself. They're just out in the community having the greatest time. So that is also a free service that we provide to people who both live in the city of Winona as well as Winona County.
And then we obviously are the source for information and referral for not only the city of Winona, but for the county. And our goal as advocates is to make sure that people remain in their homes as long as possible. We want them to be safe and happy, and they usually want to do that in their homes. So we partner greatly with Winona County. Some of the forms that we fill out are like for food support, which is known as SNAP. Medical assistance for long-term care. That would be where someone is maybe looking for services to come into their home, or they're looking to leave their home and go into assisted living or a skilled nursing facility. The Medicare Savings Program is a great program that would pay your Part B premium if you meet the income and asset guidelines. Minnesota Supplemental Aid can help some lower income clients. And MNsure is becoming more and more popular as people want to retire prior to Medicare age. So if you're looking at, retiring at 60 or 62, we can go to the online marketplace, MNsure, and maybe look for an advanced premium tax credit plan. And then we are partnered with Winona County for adult protection. So when someone has an adult protection concern, they'll call it into the state system. It gets referred to our county that the person lives in. And then if they're not deemed vulnerable, they are referred to us. And then we can go out and maybe make contact and talk about services that they might need.
One thing I'd just like to pop in real quick is the wonderful thing about Lori and my job is that we can do office visits as well as home visits and visits over the phone. So if folks have caregivers who don't live in Winona but are caring for an older adult in Winona, we're happy to have a telephone conversation with them or a video conference with them. I just had Teams meeting with someone who doesn't live in Winona, who's caring for someone in Winona. For folks who have difficulties with transportation or have mobility issues, we're able to go out to their homes and visit with them as well. So it's very flexible. We're kind of that sit down face to face, make sure you understand whatever questions you have. And if we can't find an answer, we'll help you figure out someone who does.
Great, thank you. Any questions, Pam?
Yes, I really appreciate all of the services you give to people in Winona and Winona County. If you go to other counties around the country, or if you have loved ones who are aged in other counties, they don't all have what we have here. So I really have a personal appreciation for that. I would like to know what percentage of the people that you serve are Winona County residents compared to Winona City residents. Do you have a figure for that?
Mayor and Council, we don't have it on hand right now, but it's something we can easily pull from our numbers. Like Marita said, they do serve folks that might have be caring for somebody who lives in the county, and they might be outside of the county. So some of the contacts we serve are outside of the county, but we can easily pull numbers that are city limits and then the county at large as well.
Thank you. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
can get that
Definitely.
for you.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when we consider Goodview rural,
Ed, you had something?
Mayor and Council, just want to thank the Friendship Center staff for their hard work. If you could do some simple math with me.
Yeah.
Full-time employee works 2,080 hours per year. We have 2 advocates. That's 4,160 hours of work. You saw that they had over 6,000 units in 2022. So in some ways you're spending less than an hour with each client, not to mention all the other work that they're charged with. They're doing an immense amount of work in a immense amount of time that it takes to get someone through MNsure or Medicare Part D. And then I think it shows the need in this community for those services, as Pam has alluded to. This is an area also where the older population is not, older adults are not immune to mental health. There's a lot of mental health work going on at Friendship Center with the advocacy group. So I just wanted to point it out again that I appreciate but want to mention to council that if you think of the amount of time that these two advocates put in and the services they provide, it's exceptional.
Absolutely. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, it's quite a variety and range of services that you offer. I'm just wondering what areas do you find have the greatest demand and the greatest need in the community?
That's an excellent question. One thing that comes top of mind probably is transportation. Affordable housing. What's our other big one? Oh yeah, and caregiver support. But the affordable housing, I mean, we're lucky to have Valley View Towers. We're lucky to have Windhaven. If we did not have those two options, we would really be in a lot of trouble. We could use another couple of those units in town. Transportation, you know, we do have SEMCAT volunteer driver program, but as you know, the pandemic really hit that program hard because they were retired adults. And they're just, some people aren't coming back to volunteer. It's just a tough area. You know, we have the bus system, but people aren't comfortable riding the bus. Maybe they don't have the ability to think that they can get on the bus and get off the bus and navigate it.
Any other questions? All right, I always get the last word. So you've both, all three of you see me down there.
Yep.
I've had personal conversations with both of you. I've watched you work, and every time I'm in there, I am shocked at every time I find out another thing that you do for people. And I want to thank you very much, both of you, Laura as well, because I know your hands are in there. I know you're working with them as well. But as Pam said, as Chad alluded to, that workload is insane. And I wish there were a way that we could do more for you to lighten the load, whether it's more people, whether it's better offices. I think, Lori, you were telling me specifically about an instance where you have to move furniture out of your office to allow a wheelchair in. That's not okay in my mind, you know. There are opportunities where we can make your jobs easier. And I would encourage council and staff to continue to look at those opportunities. One of the questions I do have, and it might be more for Laura or Chad, I probably should have asked this before the meeting, but basically, you know, we're approving an agreement with the county, 41,000. It looks like we asked for 61,000 for the services rendered. How do we make up for that 20,000? What do we do? Is that coming out of the city budget? Is that, and I'm not poking at the county. I just want to see how we take care of that. What do we do?
Yeah, so I think it's important to kind of know how we get to that number. So we take the advocacy budget, we take out any grants that we receive. So that SEMA funding, the donations, the entire TOR program is a grant funded program. So we take that out of the bottom line of the budget. And then we essentially split it in half. And that's what that $61,000 comes to. So the remainder of it is funded by grants. Pearls is a grant funded program. Dementia Friends are grant funded, or Dementia Friendly Communities is grant funded programming. So we make up for it a lot. In order to continue to provide a lot of the services that the advocates do, we look for grant sources, but then the rest of it is funded by the city.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Thanks to all three of you very much for the work you do.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments or questions? No?
I just have a
Yeah, please,
comment on
please.
it. Because I know that it takes quite a bit of work to go find those grants. So it's not like you just ask for them and they fall out of the sky.
Or that you get them after
Yeah.
you write them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We've been fortunate, particularly with the Pearls program. I think they've seen the need. So that's a real win for our department.
Great. Thank you again. All right. I will now ask city clerk to take roll call vote.
Mayor Sherman,
Aye.
Councilman Young,
Aye.
Haima,
Aye.
Christensen,
Aye.
Biden,
Aye.
Borzakowski,
Aye.
Rapinski.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Item 5.3 is the plat review for the structured holdings addition.
Move that the council adopt the resolution.
Second.
Motion from Steve, second from Aaron. Any discussion? George?
Yeah, could we just have an explanation of what we're doing here? And who is the department approval? Who is that? I can't make that name out.
Mayor and council, it's Carlos. I
Carlos,
don't
okay.
see Carlos here tonight. Is there something specific, Councilman Borzakowski?
No, just clarification for everyone to know here, you know, approving of the plat. I mean, I'm all for this, but
It's a weird little chunk of property that was,
yes.
yeah, it's just a little corner.
Yeah.
I did some digging on Beacon to try and figure that out, but I don't have any answers, but it is.
Yeah.
Yep, that's cool. It's just basically a combination. There's a multi-parcel property. It's just combining it all into one. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
And part of it's in Goodview, just so you know.
Yeah. I saw that too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to take roll call vote.
Mayor Sherman.
Aye.
Councilman Young.
Aye.
Haima. I think he's here.
Jeff?
Haima.
Looks like he's frozen.
Is it frozen?
Christensen.
Aye.
Iden.
Aye.
Borzakowski.
Aye.
Rapinski.
Aye. Motion passes.
Item 5.4 is the AFSCME bargaining agreement for 2023 through 2025.
Move that the
Move
council.
approval of the agreement.
Second. All right, there we go. Motion from George, second from Steve. Any discussion? Chad, can you just do a quick overview of what employees that AFSCME covers?
So Mayor and Council, in our union environment with AFSCME, we basically do it by job classifications. I won't, obviously use names. It's basically by position or classification. So it's administrative assistants across all the divisions. We have members of finance department within AFSCME, community development, which includes inspections, library staff, and then Friendship Center staff.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Jeff, you're back, yes?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Sorry
very
about
good. No, not your fault. All right, I'll ask the city clerk to take roll call vote.
Mayor Sherman.
Aye.
Councilman Young.
Aye.
Haima.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Iden.
Aye.
Borzakowski.
Aye.
Rapinski.
Aye. Motion passes.
Item 5.5 is the Teamsters Local 120 bargaining agreement for 2023 through 2025.
Move that the council adopt the resolution.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Steve, a second from Aaron. Any discussion? Chad, would you just give us a quick overview of who this covers?
So Teamsters, Mayor and Council, through the Teamsters agreement with our local union, this covers individuals that may work at Central Garage, street department, park maintenance, wastewater, and water.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll ask city clerk to take roll call vote.
Mayor Sherman.
Aye.
Councilman Young.
Aye.
Haima.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Iden.
Aye.
Borzakowski.
Aye.
Rapinski.
Aye. Motion passes.
Item 5.6 is the CARP Control Study Collaboration.
Move that the council authorize staff to submit the grant application.
Second that.
We have a motion from Steve, a second from Aaron. We do have John Howard here, our sustainability coordinator, if anybody has questions for him. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, you and I have talked in the past, and I'm certainly in favor of this. But we talked about, there's commercial fishermen out there. I mean, they could go in there, they could set their nets, and they could clean all the carp out of there you want in probably about 1 week. And it probably wouldn't be any charge because they would take the carp and of course clean them, smoke them and sell them, or they would be delivered to farmers' fields. And then again, there was a gentleman, for a while back here, a few years ago, we had a carp tournament, which is held at night. The Port Authority was involved in letting them use the property. I mean, they just got tons and tons of carp out of the Mississippi River. And they did the same. Some went for food, and of course, some went to the farmer's field. I mean, you know, I support this, but like I say, if we want to get the carp out of there quickly, this is how you're going to get them out. You got to get these people in there, and they're there.
Mayor and council, that certainly doing that, the seine netting and having the commercial fishermen, that's one option that's going to be included here.
Okay.
What's been done successfully is, especially in the winter time, they tend to congregate, and so you can just get a lot of them in a pretty short, in a very small little area. What this will also look at is how many carp are leaving the lake to breed, and whether that's also an option to capture them as part of that process. But ultimately, when it comes down to removing the carp, those are options, and certainly would invite folks to, participate in that. Well, we'd reach out to them for when it's time for that.
I'll have them talk with you again. I heard from the gentleman, there's also buffalo in Lake Winona as well too. And of course, that again would go into their seine nets. And of course, any fish like a sunfish or a pike, of course, then they let that loose. But I think probably how much trouble are the buffalo? Same as the carp?
Mayor and council, we do have Professor Neil Mundall here. If I may, the buffalo aren't a problem? Buffalo are not considered to be a problem, he says.
Okay.
All right, thank you. John, can you just do a quick overview of what this is? Just give us your elevator speech on it.
Mm-hmm. So this is a grant opportunity that Healthy Lake Winona, the community group, would be applying for, and the city would participate with some staff time and just be an active participant in the study. The key things would be to capture carp and put a tag in them to then track where they are going. Mostly to see if they're going up to Ballers Lake to breed. We believe that's where they're going through that creek system all the way up to Ballers Lake over by Goodview. We believe that's where they're going, but to get an indication of what that looks like. And also we'll do recapture to get a population estimate for the total lake. So that will give us a sense of how many carp we have. And ultimately the goal is to get that population down to a point where it is no longer kind of impacting the sediments, and ideally we'd then be able to do, that would open up the possibility of doing a phosphorus treatment. Currently we are not able to do an in-lake treatment to control the phosphorus, and which would really get the lake phosphorus levels down, help control the algae, and improve the water quality. So the carp are kind of that first step, and so this grant would have that study so that if we need to solicit funds to control them, we'd be eligible. This is a study that is required under a lot of the clean water funding process. If we wanted to, opens the door to future funds. So the city would not be applying. It would be the community group, but we would be participating, probably helping in various ways.
So the phosphorus removal, if I remember correctly, the council had approved to start that process, and I think one treatment was done on the far west part of the West Lake. Is that correct, or did that never start?
Mayor and council, we haven't done a phosphorus treatment.
Okay.
The most significant piece was dredging about 20 years ago.
Right.
That did a lot for the phosphorus. A lot of it is recirculated from lake sediments. We did do a curly leaf pondweed treatment to remove, kill that in the West Lake.
And then the treatment for phosphorus is dropping allium in, is that correct? And that binds to the phosphorus? If the carp are mixing up the soil, then it makes that treatment ineffective. Is that essentially correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I've been reading. Very good. Thank you, John. Pam, you have a question?
Yes. John, when would this happen? The catching and tagging and all of that?
Mayor and Council, ideally, we would start work this summer. The timeline on the grant is probably pushing it out to early summer for doing the tagging and population estimate. In an ideal world, that would probably mean we could do some control work, potentially get a report back by the fall, and have a plan for going into the winter, either doing the seine netting or potentially doing some trapping of their spawning in the spring. I think that would be our timeline. So we're somewhat held up by the timeline on the grant, and that's the application deadline is in 2 weeks. We won't hear back till April, and then we have to wait till the contract comes. If
Okay.
we're so awarded.
We'll wait to hear. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, John. Jerome?
Yeah, just curious, to what degree does the carp population have to be reduced for the alum treatment to be effective? And how would that be sustained? How do we keep more carp from coming back once they've been moved out of there?
I believe the number for the carp population is 120 kilograms per acre. My scientific backup says that's a reasonable estimate. And we're probably at about, I don't know if we have a good number now, but we're well over that. And I have a hard time kind of conceptualizing how many carp that is. But we would from the study get an idea of what that number is now, and then how many we need to remove to get down to it. The control aspect to keep the population from coming back, there are a couple options. That would be one of the things that would be addressed in this report, is how to maintain that. Baller's Lake is we believe the primary spawning ground, and if we can keep the fish from migrating up to Baller's Lake via electric fences, you can put these electrodes in the water and it deters the fish from going through, or a physical barrier as well. That would do a lot to reduce the future population. But that is something that hopefully we would. My expertise in carp is not as much as the people who would be doing the study, so they would have the better ideas as to how that could be done.
Cool, thank you. Cool, John, George, sorry.
Just one more. Will we have any idea as to how many carp would be in Shives Creek, Shive Road Creek?
I can't say I know.
Yeah. I have no idea, so.
We would, yeah, I mean, we would know, we would have a very good indication of what's there. And I think we might probably put up when we tag the fish, we're actually putting in it would be a pit tag, which is a little like radio frequency piece. So we could put up an antenna basically at the Mankato underpass, or underpass for fish, and detect if they're going back and forth. As well as up on Gilmore Creek.
Cool. With the roundabout, when they redid that intersection, they got a good pass to go through there now.
Any other questions for John? Yeah, Steve.
Please be sure to share the results of the study. We're very interested.
Sure.
Just to, if I recall, there was an electric weir that was at the Mankato underpass when they did the Lake Winona clean out back in the 70s. Is that out of there now, or ineffective, or what's the status?
Yeah, it's no longer there. It was there, but it wasn't working for probably most of my lifetime. So.
Yeah.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you, John. Hearing none, I'll ask the city clerk to take roll call vote.
Mayor Sherman?
Aye.
Councilman Young?
Aye.
Haima?
Aye.
Christensen?
Aye.
Iden?
Aye.
Borzakowski?
Aye.
Rapinski?
Aye. Motion passes.
And item 5.7 is the Prairie Island Noxious Weed and Invasive Plant Grant.
Move that the council authorize staff to submit the grant application.
Second. Motion from Steve, second from Aaron. Any comments, questions, discussion? Steve?
Yes, I've read through this. I read through this one with interest. This is one of my favorite places in Winona. And you're thinking, what does he do there? He looks at birds there is what he does. This is a sense, yeah, they laugh. Okay. So I've got some sensitivity to this area. And I want to make sure we all understand that I'm not an expert at this, but I know enough to raise this concern that the removal of, it's going to be primarily buckthorn and other invasives would, we've got migration April through June, and then nesting June through probably August or so. So can we do this work outside of those sensitive times? Can we get expert opinion so we do this at the correct time?
Mayor and council, we would certainly hope to not disturb the migrating birds or the resident birds. I have reached out to some bird club members to get kind of a better idea as to exactly what those times might be, and if there would be what kind of what the impact might be from doing this work. My hope would be if we submit this grant soon. This seems to be a first come first serve, so they would be awarding the funds based on eligibility, if it's an eligible project, and who applies first. So my hope is that we could get that money quickly and do the work in March. That would be the ideal time from a buckthorn control standpoint, before there's flooding, before things are muddy, and then that would also greatly reduce the chance of bird interactions.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for being sensitive to that.
Thank you, John. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll ask City Clerk to take roll call vote.
Mayor Sherman.
Aye.
Councilman Young.
Aye.
Haima.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Iden.
Aye.
Borzakowski.
Aye.
Rapinski.
Motion passes.
Item 7.1 is council concerns.
We'll start with Council President Borzakowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder for everyone, be very, very cautious when you're out walking, especially around ice. And when you see, of course, at night, you cannot see the ice, and sometimes bad things happen. My wife did not hit me. I did fall on the ice. So in my glasses, I will certainly let anyone use those, but please be cautious of the ice. And also, I'd just like to send out wishes of good health to Rick Hobbick. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Councilmember Iden.
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Young.
Best of luck to the Winona Senior High Nordic Ski Team. They have traveled. They're already there up in the Twin Cities for their section ski meet. We're very excited for them. Very good chance that both the girls and the boys team could go to state, and we will almost assuredly have some individual qualifiers as well. So good luck to them.
Where are sections this year?
Highland.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Councilmember Rapinski.
A couple of quick things. Just want to say thank you to the hard work with the fire in the Goodview area, from the Winona Fire Department, the Goodview Fire Department, Minnesota City Fire Departments. They did an excellent job there. Also want to say congratulations to the Cotter speech team. They have a number of individuals that are currently ranked very high in the state and nationally. So it's a great honor.
Absolutely.
Other than that, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Councilmember Christensen.
Yeah, after George's comments, I have to put in a good word for ice. Frozen River Film Festival is going on all this week, and part of their activities beyond sitting in a darkened hall is climbing a workshop to climb the ice wall. I don't know whether there's still spots available to do that, but I'm not going to take one. And just a lot of good, excellent feature films, documentary films. Got some time, drop in, and heck, might even learn something about ice.
Thanks, Jerome. Councilmember Haima.
Just two quick things. First, a thank you to the city staff for setting things up so that I could do this meeting remote, and thank you all for your patience in allowing me to do so. I had just one other comment. I've received several phone calls related to the comp plan changes, particularly zoning and that kind of stuff. And I'm just wondering if Chad or Scott, if you could just give an outline of the process going forward from here as it winds its way through the planning commission, and then kind of somewhat of a timeline for it to come back to council. Just an overview is all I need.
Mayor and Council, Carlos Espinoza will be giving the council an update at the next meeting. And Jeff, that will also, through that update, he'll go over the timeline and next steps.
Perfect.
I don't have that in front of me tonight, but it will be presented to council at the next meeting.
Perfect. That's all I need. Appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Moving on to the consent agenda, there are 4 items. Approval of the minutes from January 17th, the final adoption of an ordinance to annex property at 22189 Pinecrest Road, the final adoption of an ordinance to amend the building permit fee schedule, and an ordinance to establish the Creative Winona Commission.
I move the council approve the consent agenda.
Second that.
Motion from Steve, second from Pam. I'll ask city clerk to take a roll call vote.
Mayor Sherman.
Aye.
Councilman Young.
Aye.
Haima.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Iden. Aye. Borzakowski.
Aye.
Rapinski.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mayor being 7:16, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion from George, second from Steve. I'll ask city clerk to take a roll call vote.
Mayor Sherman.
Aye.
Councilman Young.
Aye.
Haima.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Iden. Aye. Borzakowski.
Aye.
Rapinski.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.